It's the Wealth Nation podcast. I am Yolanda Harry-Prasad. I am the director of Solomon Wealth and the founder of Financially Fabulous Females. And this is the Wealth Nation podcast. And on this podcast, it is my goal to give you easy, actionable tips, content, and strategies that you can use to manage money well, to live abundantly, and build generational wealth. And thanks for joining me today. And every week on this podcast, I try to give you some kind of tidbit that you can take away in your financial life. And today we're talking about the very popular book called The Psychology of Money. Now, this is a book that's written by Morgan Housel, and it just provides such a treasure trove of insights and wisdom for anybody that's looking to transform their financial outlook. And if you can take some of the lessons that we'll talk about that I've picked up in the book when I read it, you will be able to navigate a very complex world of money with newfound sense of confidence and purpose. So it doesn't matter whether you're South African or not. I know a lot of the times we talk about South African money and the South African financial system, but here's some very generic information that can be implemented by anybody. I mean, we're all affected by money. And it touches everybody in every aspect of our lives, yet we struggle to understand this thing. We struggle to manage it. We struggle to make money work for us. And that's where The Psychology of Money, the book by Morgan Housel, comes in. It offers insights that extend beyond traditional financial advice, going deep into the psychology and the behavior aspects. So discover some key takeaways from the book that will help you reshape your relationship with money and set you on the path to financial success. And the first nugget that we can take from The Psychology of Money is the concept of time is the ultimate currency. Time is the most valuable asset you have, not money, but time. So in every financial decision should be viewed through the lens of time. Investing, saving, spending, it should all be done with an understanding of how time impacts your future self. If you think about it, right? If you buy a 10,000 Rand handbag and you earn 40,000 Rand after tax, 40,000 Rand a month, how many hours will it take you to pay off that handbag? Let me do a quick calculation here for you. All right, so if you're working for 40,000 Rand a month, all right, that's 40 hours a week times 4, that's 160 hours a month. 40,000 Rand after tax divided by 160 hours a month is 250 Rands per hour. That's what you're working for. So if you are buying a 5,000 Rand handbag, we divide that by 250, that's 20 hours of your life, right? So don't count or calculate the things that you buy in Rand or dollar terms. Calculate it in terms of time. I know it's going to take a mental shift on your end, but remember this: next time you're in the mall or you're shopping online, you see something that you like that you may not necessarily need, but I mean, it's fancy, you like it, the nice pair of heels, a new tech gadget or something like that. Calculate the price in terms of time instead of rands. The second thing that we can take away from The Psychology of Money is to understand the power of compounding. Compound interest is an amazing phenomenon, and even the greatest minds in the world sing its praises. I mean, think Albert Einstein here. He said that compound interest was the eighth wonder of the world. The Psychology of Money reinforces this idea that we need to understand and appreciate the true power of compounding, which is essential for building wealth. And when you're consistently investing and reinvesting your earnings, you can let time work its magic, turning small investments into substantial assets. For example, if you are into paper assets, you have shares, unit trusts, ETFs, you should not be directing those returns in terms of dividends and interest to hit your bank account. You need to allow that to reinvest into the same investment. And if you're a client, I mean, I might have showed you the asset map in terms of planning, what it really means to have those dividends and those returns go back into your investment and how it really compounds over time. The next important thing that we can take away from The Psychology of Money is risk is not one size fits all. And a risk is something that very, very, very few investors consider when it comes to their money game. And this is where the financial advisor comes in, because we're constantly pointing out the risk. And it's one of the most crucial lessons in the book is that risk tolerance varies from person to person. So if you're somebody who's sent me a DM or you commented on one of my posts and saying, you know what, I have 5,000 Rand to invest, where can I put it in? It doesn't work like that. I mean, everybody has a different level of risk tolerance. So obviously, when I get a question like that, it's not something that I can answer. I got to understand your risk, I got to understand your goals, and I got to understand your priorities, and then come up with a guided solution for you. Okay, and that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make. They take financial advice from friends, from family, and say, hey, this thing worked for me, it can work for you also. But you might not have the risk for it. Or maybe your risk appetite exceeds this investment risk. All right, so it's important to match up your risk with your investment expectations. And in this book, the author encourages readers to assess their risk appetite and tailor their financial strategies accordingly. And by doing this, you can make decisions that are in line with your comfort levels. And, you know, when clients sit with me, they like the returns of shares, but really they have no appetite for that up and down and that really volatile environment that equities have. So we have to give them a blend of conservative, of balanced, and aggressive to try and meet their risk level. Okay, and if the client is not happy with the return, they want more aggressive returns, then we take a portion and we be a little bit more aggressive with it. And if it's taking some heavy losses, I mean, it's not a loss on the entire portfolio, it's just a small bunch. But again, those losses smooth out over time. The psychology of money stresses the value of learning to say no when it comes to financial temptations and the impulsive spending. Delayed gratification can lead to more significant rewards down the road. And this insight is crucial for avoiding the debt trap and building a financially secure future. Learning to say no for unplanned purchases, especially big purchases, a night out, fancy holidays, something that you haven't planned for, you got to learn to say no to that. If you want something nice and fancy, you got to decide, right, I'm going to buy this thing. I need 5 months to save and put some money away and then buy it, instead of racking up all of that interest. But there's incredible power in saying no. And I know a lot of the times we have kids, and managing those expectations when it comes to the kids is very hard. So it's important to get off on the right track early o'clock. Another nugget that I found in the book, and it's something that we speak about a lot on the Wealth Nation podcast and in other content that I create, is the trap of lifestyle inflation, which means as your income increases, it's easy to fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation where your spending creeps up to match your earnings. Now, in this book, The Psychology of Money, it cautions against this tendency and encourages you to save and invest a portion of any income increases. This practice can significantly boost your long-term financial security. And one of the guidelines I give to many of my clients is, okay, if you get a 5% increase, and let's say that 5% increase is 800 Rand, okay, you can take that 400 Rand of that 800 and add it onto your monthly budget, but allocate the other half of that 800, the balance, that 400, reinvest that money. We're going to put it away and have that invest. And over time, especially when even young people implement such an idea, over time, by the time they're in their 40s and their 50s, they're going to really take advantage of not falling into the trap of lifestyle inflation, and they're going to take advantage of that compounding as well over time. So it's important to set this money behavior in early. And if you were not lucky enough to hear some of this, and you maybe somebody a little bit older, but you can make changes in your life. And more importantly, you can start teaching your kids, especially teenage kids, young adults, to put this kind of money behavior and money mindset in place. And I think the biggest takeaway for me from the book is focusing on what you can control. Now, you can't control inflation. There are certain things that you can control. And this book really emphasizes the importance of concentrating on the aspects of your financial life that you can control. You can control your savings. You can control your spending. You can control your investment decisions. And by honing in on what you can influence, you can work towards financial stability and financial success. So these were just some of the nuggets that I found in the book, The Psychology of Money, and it prevents a very nice transformative journey into the heart of financial wisdom, far beyond the numbers. And sometimes, we really put off when it comes to looking at finances and money, because we're not so good with numbers. But essentially, being good with money and being at financial peace is more about your financial behavior than anything else. And that behavior is driven by your mindset. This book really reminds us that true financial success doesn't come from understanding interest rates, understanding investment strategies. All of that is the higher grade stuff. But if you can get the basic right, if you have a deeper comprehension of the behavioral patterns and the psychological nuances that govern our relationship with money, then you're on your way to financial peace and living in abundance. So I hope these nuggets that we spoke about from the psychology of money has allowed you to think a little bit more. Okay, or hopefully you can be more aggressive at putting some of these practices into place, like compound interest and learning to say no and instant gratification and all of that. But essentially, if you can really grasp onto these principles, you can approach your financial life with a lot more insight and a lot more confidence. And if you're somebody young that's listening to this and you are able to implement it, you can really lay a very robust foundation for wealth building that enriches not just your bank accounts, but your lives in its entirety as well. Right? If you want help trying to get this together, try to get a strategy together to implement some of this in your life. If maybe there's something that you're struggling with in terms of debt and saying no and irregular spending. It's not just the government, it's us as well in our personal finances. But if you need help with this, feel free to reach out. It's Yolanda at financiallyfabulousfemales.com.